Hey everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name's Katie and I'm a full-time artist based in the UK, and today we're going to be answering some of your questions that you sent over to me on my Instagram, not on yours, on my Instagram. So let's get into all the questions, but before we get into the questions, make sure you grab yourself a drink of something. I've got a black coffee and maybe some snacks as well if you feel like some snacks. And let's get into your questions. So the first question I received was, do you do this work full time? Your work is amazing. Thank you so much. It means the world to me when people compliment my work and appreciate the value that I create when creating my art. I put so much effort into what I create, so it's so lovely to get that feedback. So thank you so much. And yes, I do this job full time. I've been doing it now for nearly 3 years. I think it's 3 years in August, which kind of feels very crazy to say, because I kind of forget that I had a career before this job. It's sort of become a way of life for me now, and I live and breathe this brand that I'm trying to create, the art that I'm trying to create. So it's yeah, it's been a bit of a roller coaster ride, but I'm so grateful for it, and hopefully I can continue on this journey for years to come and carry on creating all of the art that I love. I love to create. So fingers crossed that continues. And yeah, so I do this job full time. I don't know why I'm making this question more long-winded than what it needs to be. Can you share the Procreate brushes that you use? So I can share the Procreate brushes I use. I mainly use the dry ink brush. It's my favourite brush of all time. It's the brush that I just fell in love with as soon as I got Procreate, and I've never sort of gone away from it actually. And it's actually a brush that you get when you have Procreate. It's one of their brushes that they give you, so it's amazing. It's one of the free ones, and I just love the texture that it provides. It's so like, it's got like a nice sketchy feeling to it, and it gives sort of like more of what's the word like I'm trying to look for, like a more traditional kind of art style. Like, it's not too smooth and vectorized like some other brushes, so that's the one that I mainly use. And then I also do love using the jelly brush packs. I'll leave a link down below. I think I got them off Etsy. I love this brush pack because I love the fact that they've got like a watercolory texture without being like a watercolor brush. Hopefully that makes sense. It's just got some kind of a different texture to them, which I really enjoy using. And I normally like using that brush to like add more texture to a flatter piece of colour, and I find that actually helps to elevate most of my illustrations, and I always end up using them. I would actually like to branch out and try out some different brushes, to be honest with you. I feel like I've got stuck in my ways of using just certain brushes, so if anybody's got any really good brush packs that they like to use, please let me know down below, because I would really appreciate that, because I want to try my best to try move things forward, and maybe I could find a brush in 2023 that I love more than the dry ink brush. Would you share your drawing process? So I do try my absolute best to share my process online, whether that's through Reels or TikToks. But I do find it quite hard to show the entirety of the process, because obviously probably like 20 hours of work has gone into an art piece, and then I'm putting that into like a 30-second video. So it's kind of hard for me to demonstrate exactly my drawing process from start to finish. So I have a little idea and a plan in mind. So what I'm thinking about doing this year is creating a course where I show my whole process from start to finish, and we end up drawing like a main subject. And that's something that I'm planning on organising to possibly make yeah, like an online course that it'll be sort of purchasable through my online store, and I'm hoping it'll be about 45 minutes to an hour long, and it's going to be like a step-by-step thing where the student can actually learn every single detail of what I put into creating an art piece, and hopefully then the art student can also follow along. Hopefully that all makes sense, but that's what I'm planning. And if you'd like that, then please let me know and give me a thumbs up so I know that you're interested in me creating an online course. I just kind of need to decide what subject it's going to be, because I get a lot of questions on how to draw a cityscape, but I don't think that could be an hour-long video. I think that's going to be like a much longer course. So I was kind of thinking about possibly doing it based on maybe just a building, and then obviously then the person can then make it into a cityscape afterwards by learning the skills on how to approach a building, if that makes any sense. That is my plan. Fingers crossed it should be going live within the next couple of months. I just need to get planning and organised with it all. How do you get so much done in a week? Time management. This is such a good question, and if I'm being completely honest with you, when I first started off nearly 3 years ago, I was not good at time management. I was literally working to the bone. I was working all hours of the day, and I never really gave myself a break. And with time, I've actually learned that giving myself time off and a break is actually something that's really required. So you know that you're actually turning up and you're giving 100% instead of 50%. So my first advice on that topic is to most definitely make sure that you have your free time where you get to go away and just do other things, and that is what I'm trying to implement more of. Like, for example, I like going to the gym, so I always like to make time in the day to make sure that I'm having time going to the gym or exercising, just doing something for me away from this job, and I find that really helps me to be more productive. And then the second advice is to just keep a diary. I got this diary from Papier this year. I absolutely love it, and I'll just show you one of the pages. It's basically just a normal diary. It's not really anything mind-blowing, but what I like to do is write all my notes and my to-do list in that diary for each day, and I make my way through the list. And what I normally try and do is get all of my admin and everything like that, creating content, done in the morning, and then in the afternoon is when I get to spend time creating art. I don't get to do it every day, but that's the kind of format I think works best for me, because if you're anything like me, when I start creating a piece of art, that's it then. Everything else is forgotten about, and I get so lost in the process, and I just sort of forget the concept of time, which is so lovely, but also not great for business. So I always recommend to get all of your admin, packing orders and all that kind of stuff done in the morning, and then you can focus on creating it in the afternoon, and I find that works best for me. Also, what I like to do, I might as well just go through it all now, hey? So I've got this other weekly planner, just gives a normal weekly view. But what I like to do is plan out all my social media and email marketing for the weeks ahead. So for example, I have pinned and created all my Pinterest pins for the following week. And then what I like to do is add-ons. For example, on Monday I might be posting a video on Instagram and TikTok, and I'll just have that all planned out, ready to go. So that definitely helps things, and planning content maybe a week in advance is something that I always like to stick to, because if you're trying to create a piece of content every day, you're going to get so exhausted, and you'll probably find that you end up spending most of your day making the content. Hopefully that answers your question. Maybe I need to do a more in-depth video where I actually show you more about time management and give a bit more of an in-depth answer, but that's kind of like a basic answer to that question. How do you choose your colour palettes? So this is such a good question. I love this one. I love colour palettes. I have got a Procreate full of different palettes, and when I first started I mainly just used Pinterest. I just went on Pinterest and searched up different colour palettes, different trending colour palettes, and what I would do is transfer them all into my Procreate, and then I would just work with the colour palettes that I'd created, and then I managed to sort of then find colours that I really was particularly drawn to, colours that I particularly liked, and then I built my own colour palettes from there. But I think what you need to do is make sure that you've got sort of a range of colour palettes that you know that you can use and just test out. And there's always like the opportunity to see how colours work in shops as well, or in like a restaurant or a bar that you go into. They might use like particular colours and it might be a really good mix. So I normally take pictures of colour palettes that I see when I'm out and about and transfer them over to Procreate and test them out. I do find some colours that I'm more drawn to. For example, I absolutely love the colour lilac, but every time I try and use it in an art piece, it just doesn't seem to work for me. And it's weird, like some colours you'll just find that you might love, but they just don't particularly suit your style, or they might not suit the art piece. And that's completely fine, and it's all just about testing, seeing what works for you and just going from there. Advice for starting a small shop I'm trying to battle with against perfectionism. This is a tough one, but my best advice with this is to just go for it and just put up what you feel happy with at the time, because you are most probably going to change it in a year's time anyway. I definitely don't have the same branding, I don't have the same thank you cards or business cards that I used to have, and my business has just completely evolved as time's gone on. And I think it's more of, you get to know exactly what your audience likes, your target market likes. You get to learn what style you're most drawn to, and that's something that comes with time and comes with knowledge. So being too caught up in everything being perfect, it might just slow you down, and actually just putting yourself out there and just going for it, you'll soon enough learn what works for you and what doesn't feel right. For example, I had a logo when I first started and I didn't particularly love the logo, but I just went with it because I just thought this is okay for now, and I know in the future I'm definitely going to invest in getting somebody to design a logo that I know I'm going to be truly happy with. And that's what I did. About 18 months into the business, I decided to get somebody to design my branding for me. I want to get more into drawing but can't get past the sketch stage. Any advice? Now, everyone might think, or some of you might think, that I'm creating pieces and they all end up with a final result, but they definitely don't. I have got so many sketches on my Procreate that never go past the sketch stage. But what I do to try and get past this stage, because sometimes I think a white blank page with a sketch on can actually be quite scary to get into. Instead of a white background, I like to change it and maybe make it a pink background or a blue background, or just some different colour to make it not feel as like scary. So sometimes I'll just put like a light pink wash underneath, and then that seems to just make me feel a lot more relaxed. I also like to sort of work things step by step as well. So if I've got a particular subject, for example, if I've got a lemon, I'll just work on the lemon, I'll zoom in, and I won't focus on the overall piece. I'll just focus on each subject at a time. I find that helps me get into a bit of a rhythm and helps me actually see the piece not as a whole piece but as subject by subject. Or what else I like to do, as I said earlier, is plan a colour palette and actually put the colours where I want them to go underneath the sketch. I find that helps to just break the ice a little bit, makes me feel a little bit more relaxed when getting into an art piece, and it kind of makes it feel a lot less scary when you've actually put some colour down, because you know then that you've started. I'm sorry if I have to read this one off my phone, but I literally can't remember it in my head because it's quite a long one, so I'm sorry if this annoys any of you, but I'm just going to have to read it. How do you keep your energy up to get so much work done in a week? I admire your action-orientated outlook and need more of that in my business. Okay, I'm going to be so honest with you right now. I have some really low energy weeks where I feel really unmotivated, and I find it a real struggle to stay motivated and stay working. What I like to do on those particular weeks is actually do jobs that I've been putting off. So I might have some jobs that I keep on pushing back, and I'll think to myself, I'll do that next week, I'll do that the week after. And normally when I actually set the time and sit down and do those jobs, I actually feel like I've accomplished something, and I feel like I then have that motivation to continue on, and actually getting that hard job done that you've sort of been, you know, avoiding, you actually feel like you can do so much more. I also find writing lists, writing to-do lists, writing all the things that you want to achieve in that day, but be realistic as well. Don't set too many jobs, set realistic goals, because then when you actually achieve them, you feel so much more motivated and you feel like you can really get stuck into it and carry on. If that's not working for you and you feel like you're still unmotivated, maybe what might motivate you is setting some longer goals. So some goals that you want to achieve in 3 months' time, some goals that you want to achieve in 6 months' time. For example, you might think of a really good product, or you want to start a new art collection and you want to have something that you're working towards, and that actually helps as well, but it's like a longer term goal, so you feel like you have time to get it done, but also you'll feel motivated to get that work done as well. And I find that really helps, and that's something that I've actually only been doing now for about a year, is maybe having a plan to bring out a new product, or having a plan to bring out a new collection in 3 months' time, and then I get so excited when I get to work on that art or that product, because I know that it's going to be something that I'm working towards in the future that is going to provide value to me, and also it's something to really look forward to as well. This question is kind of following on from my previous question. It's also the last question as well. So it is, how do you decide what you'll do day to day? So I feel like I've kind of explained that already a bit earlier on in the video, but what I like to do is just set goals for the week, set out what I'm going to do, and normally by this, well, at this point now, I've kind of got myself into a rhythm. So I know on, for example, a Tuesday is when I'm going to be packing orders, and on a Friday I like to pack orders. I like to pack orders twice a week, because then I know that my customers are going to be getting their orders in good timing from when they actually ordered the product. So I know those 2 mornings I'm going to be focusing on that. And then normally what else I like to do is on a Monday, I like to normally create all of my social media content and get that all boxed off for either that week or the week ahead in the future. And then towards the end of the week is when I like to more focus on creating art and doing admin sort of tasks and things, but like I said, I normally try and do those in the mornings, so then I can have time creating art in the afternoons. So hopefully that answers all your questions. Thank you so much if you've reached the end of the video, and thank you to anyone that sent over the questions. I really do appreciate it, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. Don't forget to subscribe, like or comment on this video. It really helps me out and lets me know that you enjoy this content. And other than that, I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you again next time. Bye!